This Euphorbia tree is in desperate need of a pruning. However, there's some lurking dangers with the sap. So in this video, I want to show you how to safely prune a Euphorbia tree and also some really cool, random, and fun facts about this hydrocarbon plant. The botanical name of this plant is Euphorbia tirucali. It's also known as the naked lady, the pencil plant, the sticks on fire, which is usually referred to as the orange variety. You're probably familiar with that if you live in Southern California or anywhere that's semi-subtropical, as these plants do really well in zones 9 and 10. It's native to Africa and the Arabian Peninsula. There's also the islands in and around Africa, the continent, that you will find this tree natively. And some people say it's also from India. I don't know for sure, but maybe it is. A hydrocarbon plant is a plant that produces a lot of hydrocarbons, which are organic compounds that contain hydrogen and carbon atoms. The cool thing about this plant is it has actually a clear sap. However, there is latex here that gives it this milky look as it drips out. You need to be super careful about because you don't want to get this on your skin. We'll talk about phototoxicity a little bit later. But for now, I want to show you the sap coming out of these. And this actually has been used for fuel in the past, which is super cool, and rubber production. So there was a bunch of studies in the 80s that they were testing this plant because it's so drought tolerant and can grow in areas where a lot of other agriculture really doesn't survive. So maybe this could be a cool source for fuel. However, they weren't very successful. I don't really know why, but it's kind of too bad. And maybe somebody should pick up the study on trying to make these trees into fuel or rubber, because hey, why not? There's plenty of desert. Okay, so now I want to get into talking about pruning a Euphorbia like this. So I've actually had clients that have pruned this before and gone to the hospital because they got it in their eye. It can actually cause blindness. So if you get this milky sap, this milky white latex sap in your eyes, you need to get medical help right away. So that is why I'm using these big glasses here. And then the other thing is this plant has phototoxicity, which basically means if you get that milky white substance on your skin, especially in the sun on a hot day, it can cause blistering and bubbling, and it's not something that can happen once. It can actually reoccur over years. Not everybody gets this reaction, but it is something that you should be aware of and to take the proper precautions. So I'm going to put on my long sleeve. If you really want to be safe, you can put on a full bodysuit, but you need to be aware and conscious to keep it out of your eyes and off of your skin, especially if it's hot outside. And if you do get it on your skin, take it off as soon as possible. This should keep the sap off, but you know, you could use a raincoat. That'd probably be a little bit better, but I want to keep everything protected. I'm going to put a hat on. I know it wouldn't probably affect my hair, but you know, I don't want to get it in my hair. So the goal for this pruning, it's already been cut back a little bit, was to open these under branches. So before, about a week or so ago, this was all full of the same bushiness down here, and it just looked like a giant shrub. It was really shrubby, I guess you could say, but it has some beautiful arcing branches, and we want to see more of those. So my goal is to come in and knock off a little bit of these. I don't know what that reminds me of. It's like when you shave your legs and you miss your ankles. That's what that reminds me of. If you're a lady, you know what I'm talking about. So I want to get rid of these little things over there and then open up some more of these branchings. I'm going to use a combination of tools. I have my GTA 26, which I absolutely love, but this is going to be probably the last tool I'm going to use, and only if I need to get through branches that are like 4 inches or so. Somewhat like a mini chainsaw. It's battery operated. You just oil the blade. You can cut through really anything. I can use it for this, but I know I'm going to get sap all up in here, and it's just going to be a little harder to clean, so if I don't have to use it, I'm not going to. But if I do, I have it here. All right, so for the smaller stuff, I'm going to use my hand pruners. These are also from Steel, and I have some hedge trimming blade cleaner and resin remover. I'm definitely going to need this today, so I'm going to spray this on the tools and wipe it off when I'm done, so that keeps them nice and clean. And then lastly, I have this hand saw. It's super handy. I keep this in my car in case somebody's trying to attack me. I'm kidding. I use it for anything, big branches, little branches, anything. This will take care of it. So I'll be using this a lot. So one of the first things I want to do, because this was pruned and cleaned up really nice, but some of these cuts I want to set in a little bit closer. It'll just look cleaner overall. And once I get started, the videographer is not allowed to go under the tree. Look at all that juice coming out. Well, we have pulp and juice. This is going to milk a lot. There we go. Okay, and then this guy I want to clean off too. One thing I need to be cautious of is pruning above and then working beneath. Obviously you can see it drips a lot, so you need to be strategic about how you're getting in here. Also, you can do a few cuts, let it callus over for a day or two, and then come back. That's probably a good strategy. And the other thing, you never really want to take more than 1/3 of a plant off at a time, especially in the summer. Although these things are so hardy, I think you could probably prune it down to a stub and it'd come back. But the rule is try not to do more than 1/3 at a time. So one thing is these branches are just so big and beautiful. I want to open this area area up a little bit more. It's really busy. I can't see that beautiful branch beneath it. It just looks super bushy in here. So I'm gonna clean this area up so we can have better visibility throughout. And let me be strategic. So this was actually pruned last week and it's already calloused over and you can't even tell that it's been detached. And that's another cool thing about this plant is it propagates super easily. So we could take this and go ahead and plop it in the ground and there's a good chance it would grow roots. Of course, there's like better ways you can do it, but there's a good chance you can get this. And that's why I think it's kind of a fun idea. You can take a plant that grows with literally very little water. This doesn't get any irrigation, grow it in the desert and maybe make it into fuel. So I don't know. I'm not into that type of stuff, but if you are, maybe look into this plant and let me know how it goes. All right, so I've actually decided definitely don't use the GTA 26, that little hand pruner that has like the chainsaw blade. With as much pulp and juice I'm getting out of the hand pruner, I would actually toss it and make the sap go everywhere. So bad idea, don't use that tool. Now you could let any of these develop into full-blown branches if you wanted to. And so selectively you might choose that you want one of these eventually to like balance the tree. Because of the way it's formed and leaning this way, I just want to keep this open so you can see these dual branches. And then also strategy-wise, I'm cutting these low ones. I'm out of that zone now because it's dripping over there. So I'm going to do these low ones and then do some higher ones and then get out of this area. And when it's done sapping, I'll come back and pick up my scrap. Okay, where are we dripping? We're dripping here, we're dripping here, which is almost where I want to be. I will go here. Crazy how juicy this is. Dude, you're crazy. Hey, okay. Oh no, branches I want to get. Don't fall on my face. Wow, not on my new car. From under. Ah, that just ripped this guy here. All right, guys, this wraps up this pruning project of the Euphorbia t-Rucali. Of course, there's lots of different euphorbias out there and they have varying degrees of toxicity, but they all have that milky sap. So you want to make sure that you protect yourself, put your eye protection on, cover your arms, especially if you're working on a hot day. And then if you're pruning a big tree like this, maybe don't have the kids running around because that is going to continue to drip for, depending on your climate, a few minutes to an hour or so after you trim those branches. And then with the smaller euphorbias, they're a little bit easier to handle. But anyways, I hope this video was helpful and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, like or comment. Let me know if you have a question about this in particular or any other landscaping things. Thanks for following.